everybody should be repatriated to Zambia. Oh yeah, you need to understand what is really going on. In Zambia, there is no law that mandates the government to conduct a state funeral. There is no law. You give me a chapter in the Constitution of Zambia where the government is being mandated by the law to conduct a state funeral. There is no law. Okay? Now, some people are confused. So why, if you say that there is no law in Zambia that mandates a state funeral, what about the other state funerals that have been happening? Yes, those state funerals that have been happening, it is a courtesy of the government. If they want to recognize you for the exceptional contribution that you have done to the country, they can offer you a state funeral. So it is a courtesy, it is not a law. In Tanzania, a state funeral is a law because it was passed by an act of parliament. It was passed by an act of parliament in Tanzania, but not in Zambia. So even the argument that the Zambian government presented in court, that, oh, let's follow Zambian law, that this is a precedence, all the other presidents were buried like this, state funeral and all those. Yes, all the other presidents were buried by a state funeral, but a state funeral is not a must. Is not mandated by law. There is no act of parliament in Zambia that mandated that. So, but why has it been happening? It has been happening because it is a courtesy. The government thinks that they can offer you a courtesy, they can give you exceptional respect, they can do that. But remember, a courtesy is not a law. Me as an individual, I can choose to accept the courtesy by the government. If the government wants to honor me, I can accept. And I can also reject it. Because it's not a law. I am not breaking any law. If I reject a state funeral, I am not breaking any law. So this is what people must understand. If the government wants this to be a law, they must go to parliament. That's why there is parliament in Zambia. There is parliament in Zambia, and we are paying those members of parliament a lot of money. You can even call them midnight, that there is an emergency here, and we need a law that is going to allow us to do these things. They can do that. Okay? But there is no law that has that. This is why the Lungu family is in order. They are within their constitutional rights to reject whatever government is offering them. Because it's too late. They should have offered that when he was sick. They should have allowed him to go to the hospital. They should have paid for his medication. You see, I remember at one time he was given an appointment by the doctor that, oh, he should, after being seen in South Africa, he was given an appointment, like, come back after a few weeks. He couldn't travel back to Zambia because he knew that if he came to Zambia, he wasn't going to be allowed to go back. Even people who cleared him at the airport were all fired. You see, that's how cruel this government is. So, me, as a Zambian, they shouldn't include me when they say that, oh, it is public interest. No, it's not public interest because a lot of us Zambians are not interested in what the government is doing. We are not interested in what the government is doing, and we are not in support. Okay? Yes, they won with a landslide victory, but that victory has evaporated because of their bad actions, obviously. They promised a lot of people and they didn't do nothing, you see. I mean, they promised the youths, because the youths are the ones who voted for them. They promised the youths that they will give them